Okay, you guys came up with all kinds of great questions. So I'm going to go ahead and answer them. We have things that I love to talk about. So we're going to talk about homeschooling. We're going to talk about mom guilt. We're going to talk about grocery shopping. You guys just gave some really great questions. So let's start with the first one. We're just going to go in order. And the first one is on Facebook, and it came from Whitney. She says, "Where do you grocery shop? Are you finding one store has better deals than another? And do you prefer to shop in store or do pickup?" So, three questions there. The first is my grocery shopping. I typically go to three places, and they're chain, all across the country: Walmart, Aldi, and Costco, and usually in that order. So, do I find one store has better deals than another? So, I wish I could be the person that just goes and shops the deals and knows like it's on sale here, so I'm going to go there. But I've found I've tried to do that, and there's some local grocery stores where I have tried to really pay attention to their sales cycles, and I would go in and try and get it, but then I would end up spending more money, or I had the sale wrong, or like it was buy one and like I needed like three. And so I don't do that a whole lot with other stores. I like to stick with store brand products. And I feel like that saves me so much money than buying the name brand products. And Walmart has a very good selection of their great value or equate brands. And then of course, Aldi has their own brand. Some things they don't even sell in name brands. They just have their own Aldi brand. And I find that those two are very comparable. I do have a friend, Kristen. She has a blog called Joyfully Thriving, and she has the cheapest grocery stores. Like, she compared all the prices. And so I can leave her blog post linked below, but she said that Aldi was the one, but Walmart is very close to it. And so for me, I find that Aldi doesn't have everything that we need. And so I often will do a grocery pickup from Walmart, because when you have kids and you're like shopping multiple stores, sometimes we go Walmart, Aldi, and Costco. It's just a lot, and it's so much easier and just less stressful when I have someone else getting my groceries for me and I just drive up and they put it in the back trunk. But then we will often go into Aldi, because I like to purchase my own produce so that I can see what the apples look like or what the lettuce looks like. I like to pick my own dairy products as well, just so I can see the date on them. But like canned goods and just like standard things that we just kind of get on a regular basis, that it doesn't really matter a whole lot, I will do through grocery pickup. But Aldi, yes, they have good sales and on their produce a lot of times, and so I will go in there. Plus, it's just a smaller store, so we're in and out so much faster than Walmart. So I do like going into Aldi. And then Costco, we like to get our meat from there, usually ground beef, and then also usually some frozen chicken. And sometimes I will often get sometimes I will get their rotisserie chickens as well, especially that night. If I'm going grocery shopping, we might have that rotisserie chicken for dinner. So that's what I do for grocery shopping. So, and that came from Whitney. She has a blog. She is like one of the OG bloggers that I have followed for years, and she's at comehomeforcomfort.com. So I will leave her linked below. I've always enjoyed listening or reading her blogs. She's a Christian, and she talks about homemaking, and then also she just is a real encouragement just biblically as a Christian woman too. The next question comes from a real life friend of mine, Kristen. So she says, "Any wisdom for upping motivation to get stuff done?" So yes, definitely. This is something that I have struggled with in the past. I'm very open about that. When I was first married, I did not like doing the dishes or doing the laundry or cleaning my house, and I would save it until the weekend, and then I would just very grudgingly do the housework. And so then when I became a stay-at-home mom, and that was my main role of being a homemaker, I really did struggle with motivation. And so it took me a while to figure that out. And then I did. And I even created a course on it called The Motivated Homemaker. So I have a whole course with all kinds of information in it. But really, I feel like motivation boils down to a few different things. But one of the main things is just the feeling of overwhelm. There's just so much that comes into taking care of a home, managing a home. And then if you have young kids, taking care of your kids as well. And then on top of it, you may just, homemaking isn't necessarily fun. It's not fun necessarily to wash the dishes or to do the laundry, but they're necessary things that have to get done. And so I always say, like, when you have something that feels overwhelming, to break it down into smaller steps. And one of the things that I always focus on is, what is it that absolutely has to get done? And choose to go ahead and just do that one thing. So for me, I always focus on making sure that I start a load of laundry every day. And I start it as soon as possible in the morning so that I can get it in the dryer by the afternoon and at least have it dried by the evening, hopefully folded and put away. But if not, at least we've got a load of clean clothes. And another thing that I always, this is like just must do items, is cleaning my kitchen. And if I have those two things under control, then I don't feel so overwhelmed. And so when I focus on those two things, I'm more likely to get other things done. I have more motivation because those two things are out of my mind and they're not overwhelming me. So that would be my first tip. Another tip is just, we all have days when we're not feeling motivated. And it could be for different reasons. It could be maybe you didn't sleep well the night before, or maybe you just haven't been taking care of yourself and you need some just self-care. Like if I know that if I don't take a shower first thing in the morning and get myself dressed and ready, then I'm going to be more likely to stay in my pajamas and just not want to do much with my day. And so I know that I have to get myself in the shower as soon as possible each morning, get dressed, do my hair, put on a little bit of makeup so I feel good about myself, and then I'm more likely to have the motivation to do the things that I need to do each day. So that's a big thing. Another thing is just when you are feeling yourself like just not being motivated, just take whatever the thought is that is causing you to not want to do something and say, why am I feeling like this? And then take the first step in doing something productive. I always think of this phrase from high school physics class that says an object in motion will stay in motion. And so that's the same with each of us. Like sometimes it's just as simple as going and putting the dishes in the dishwasher, or maybe the dishwasher is clean and it needs to be emptied, and I'm gonna just get myself up. I'm gonna go and do that one thing. And once you do that one thing and you're starting moving, you're gonna feel the momentum kind of coming. And then it's like, oh, okay, I've emptied the dishwasher. Well, now I can sweep the floor. And I have so many more tips. I feel, like I said, I have a whole course on it. So I feel like I should probably share more of that online and in my videos, but that's just kind of like the tip of the iceberg, some tips right there. The next question comes from Gloria. So Gloria, she says, do you ever suffer from mom guilt? And if you do, how do you handle it? Specifically, feeling bad about not being able to provide certain things or being able to always get things with the kiddos and the house not being 100% right or perfect. Okay, so yes, I definitely do struggle a little bit with mom guilt from time to time. I would say I've been a mom for 10 years now, and so I would say that I've gotten easier on myself, where I don't necessarily feel that guilt as much, but I still do. And I have to do kind of like what the Bible talks about, like taking your thoughts captive and not just letting your mind like wander and into that guilty self and just thinking about, why can't I do this for my kids? Or I wish I could do that. Or just feeling bad about things. I have to really stop and think, okay, why am I thinking this way? Why do I feel like my kids, what did you ask about feeling bad, not being able to provide certain things or get things for the kids? So like my family, my husband and I, we have chosen to live a pretty simple life. We purposely choose not to put our kids in a lot of different activities. Number one, because of money, but also number two, because we feel like it just pulls the family in a lot of different directions. And so a priority for our family is eating together as a family each evening. And if we were involved in all these different activities, we wouldn't be able to do that a lot of nights. And we want a calm, home-centered family for our kids. And so I have to stop and think, okay, why do I feel guilty about them not being involved in X number of sports or different activities. And a lot of times it comes down to me being influenced by other people. And end up comparing myself to other moms, whether it's in real life or online or just like a version of myself that I think should be better. So when I'm comparing myself, that's usually where the mom guilt comes from. So what I try to do is I really try to think about it. Okay, why am I feeling this way? And then I will often talk to my husband. I'll have a conversation with him about how I'm feeling. And a lot of times we will kind of just go back and forth and we'll kind of ground ourselves. Well, this is what we choose for our family. And even then, sometimes, my kids do ask for certain things and I'm like, no, we can't do that. We don't have the money for that. Or I'll just say it's not on sale. Or I will tell them, sometimes, we have to choose what we spend our money on. And so we can spend our money on some things, but we can't spend it on everything. And I will even say to my kids sometimes when they want things, I might say, I wanted something too at that store, but I don't need it. It was just a want, and so we're not going to get it. And so sometimes it's just not being upset with my kids for wanting things. Sometimes it's just me having to say, okay, this is just what we're going to spend our money on, and we have to make certain choices. We also talked about feeling guilty if the house is not 100% right or perfect. My house is not perfect. You can see there's stuff back here on that chest. And I would say that I'm a recovering perfectionist. I used to think my house had to be perfect. And now what I really do is just, as long as my house is good enough. I want my home to be comfortable. I want it to be, for the most part, clean. And that's why I try to keep up with my daily routines of cleaning up the kitchen. We usually do like a pickup of the house and the kids help with that. We keep up with the laundry, but like my kids' rooms are not perfect. And it used to stress me out. I used to think, oh my goodness, their rooms have to be perfect. But now, as long as they're in charge of making their beds, they're in charge of making sure that their floors are picked up. Like, I need to be able to run a vacuum on your floor. If I can't run a vacuum on your floor, you need to go and clean that floor up. But if there's just certain things that are out and it's not exactly how I want it, I've just let it go. And I realize that it's not really that big of a deal in the broad scheme of things. So I would say probably 2 or 3 times a year, I will go into their rooms and we'll just do a big sweep out of everything, and we'll take out trash and papers and just old toys that they don't really play with and just are extra clutter in their rooms. But other than that, I'm just like, okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. And my home, if you look around, I could take you around to different spots in my home where the paint is chipping and there's spots on the wall that I can't get clean. And I'm okay with that. And again, I think it has to come back to, am I thankful for what I have? And am I comparing myself to someone else? Because when I'm not comparing myself to others, then I really am thankful for what I have. And really what I have is enough. It really is. And that's where that helps with the mom guilt. So you also asked, what about those days when your patience or motivation is just low and you feel bad about it? So I kind of talked about motivation before. I would say patience, give yourself grace, give your kids grace. I think there are some days when, our patience is just low. And I have to catch myself and think, okay, why am I low on patience today? Did I not get enough sleep last night? Am I tired? Do I need to just rest? And another thing is, I will think, okay, in 20 minutes from now, is this going to matter? In 20 minutes from now, do I still want to be upset about this? Do I still want to be, have this be an issue? Or in 20 minutes from now, do I want to not have to worry about whatever it is that I'm not having patience with or not having the motivation to do? Because most likely, if I can just get through the next 20 minutes, and whether it's just being patient with a child who's throwing a tantrum or getting, the house clean, maybe it only takes me 20 minutes to do, and then in 20 minutes it'll be done and we can move on. So that helps me a lot with that. Okay, so those are all of the questions on Facebook. I'm gonna go to YouTube and see what we have here. Okay, so we have Katie. She said, what is your favorite cleaning hack? I think when I think of hacks, I think of like things that like are really crazy and you're like, wow, how could someone do that? I don't really have like a specific hack, but I do have a couple of things that like come to mind when I think of things that I've changed with my cleaning that have helped me. And one of those is what I use to clean my windows. I have not purchased window cleaner in probably 7 or 8 years now. I just use a microfiber cloth. It's actually a kit. So I wet down a microfiber cloth and I wipe the windows horizontally, and then I wipe them vertically. And then I take the polishing cloth, which is a blue one that I have, and I just dry off all the water. And that cleans off my windows and my mirrors, and then I don't have to use cleaning spray. So that's the first one. The second cleaning hack that I would say I use is I don't buy all-purpose spray anymore either, because I just use my Castile soap with distilled water. And I showed that in a recent video, which I can link if you want to see that. But it's really simple. I've had the Castile soap for years now, and I haven't even used half the bottle. So I save so much money by just using that. Plus, I don't have like a ton of different cleaning products. Like I just use the same cleaning spray on my countertops and my table and just whenever I'm cleaning something out. So those are my like cleaning hacks. I don't know if you would actually say they're hacks or not, but that's what works for me. Katie, I will say, is from the channel Life with the Love Days. Life with the Love Days. And she finds really good deals. If you ever want to see, if you like to watch grocery hauls, Katie has all kinds of Walmart and BJ's grocery hauls. And then she also is a deal finder for her kids' Christmas and birthday presents. So she's always fun to watch. So I will leave her linked below as well. The next one is from Ashley. She says, I'm wondering if you have any summer rhythms. So yes, Ashley, I love routines. I've learned to make them flexible. I try not to make them too rigid, especially in summer. But I find that if we don't have any kind of a routine or rhythm, then we start to kind of go crazy and we start getting grumpy with each other and we watch too much TV. So basically our mornings and evenings are the same. My kids, in the morning, we eat breakfast together. We usually read like a little devotional. We've been reading a book called Everybody Everywhere. No, what is it? Okay, I'm gonna go get it. This is what we're reading. It's called Everybody Always for Kids by Bob Goff. And so we have been reading this in the mornings at breakfast time, and it's been fun. But so we do that at breakfast. They clean up from breakfast. We get dressed, make our beds, put the laundry downstairs. So those are just things that like have to get done every morning. And then in the evening, it's the same kind of thing. They help clean up after dinner. We sometimes we'll play outside when the weather is nice. We'll do baths, and then it's basically time for bed. So those routines stay the same. But then as far as like during the day, that is pretty flexible. And so sometimes I'm having my kids make sure that they read every day. And then we just have other random things, like we're going to have vacation Bible school. We're going to have swim lessons. We're going to go out of town. So there's just going to be different things that are going to interrupt our flow. And so I'm not sticking to a super rigid daily schedule. In the past for summer, I've done like a weekly rotation where like, I'm trying to think what everything was. I think like Mondays we would go to the library. Tuesdays we would go to a park. Wednesdays was like a water Wednesday. We might do the sprinkler in the backyard or go to the pool or go to a splash pad. What was Thursdays? Thursdays, I think we did a movie day. And then Fridays we had a bucket list last summer. And so we would do something from our bucket list on Fridays. Sometimes it was things like making a cherry limeade, or another time it might be like going to a fun park here in town or something like that. So that was always kind of fun. If we're at home then for the week, then sticking to that kind of a weekly schedule is kind of fun because the kids know what's coming up and it's just something to look forward to. So I will probably do that after all of our main things that we have going on. We have, like I said, vacation Bible school, swim lessons, and it's just going to be kind of busy. But in July and August, that's probably the routine or the rhythm that we're going to follow. Okay, the next question comes from Geraldine, and she actually asked a few questions here. So the first one was, what kind of teacher were you before you stayed home? So I have actually been out of teaching for 10 years now, which is crazy. I taught for 9 years, so I've officially been a stay-at-home mom longer than I was working. But I taught a few different things. So I used to teach junior high resource. I taught that for 3 years. So middle school, English and math for students with learning disabilities. And then I would also just help them with their other classes and studying for tests and quizzes. And I enjoyed it. But then I got moved to high school English, and I taught high school English for a year. And I did not enjoy that. I went to my principal and I said, I want to be moved to the elementary, or I'm not going to teach anymore. Like, I was just done with teaching because high school is just, I don't click with high schoolers. And so he said, okay, I'm moving you. So I moved down to 5th grade, and that was really my sweet spot. I really loved teaching 5th grade, and I taught that for 5 years. And I just felt like that was where I did well. The kids connected with me well, and I connected with them. And so 5th grade was my favorite. Number 2, she asked, what cleaning task do you just have to do before you can get started with the rest of your day? Okay, this one's easy. The cleaning task I always have to do is clean up my kitchen after breakfast. So I always have a clean kitchen at night. Well, let me say 99% of the time I have a clean kitchen at night. There have been a handful of times throughout the last probably 8 years that I have not gone to bed with a clean kitchen for some kind of circumstance. But for the most part, it is always my goal to have a clean kitchen at night. And so I wake up to a clean kitchen, we eat breakfast, and then I always clean it up. So sometimes it's like I might empty a clean dishwasher, or it may just be wiping down the countertop and putting the food away, washing whatever dishes were from breakfast or putting them in the dishwasher. That is the one cleaning task I have to have done before we start our homeschool day or anything else. And then number 3, do you multitask while doing your homeschool day, i.e. change laundry over, vacuum, etc., or do you just focus on homeschool only? Okay, I used to try to multitask. Now I don't. Now I focus on homeschooling only. So my son is going into 4th grade, my daughter's going into 1st grade. And so my son has really learned how to be super independent. There are times when he needs me and I'll help him, but I'm either helping him or I'm working with my daughter most of the time. Now, sometimes like we might stop and have a snack and just a break. So I'll run down and I'll change the laundry over. Or maybe, they are both working very independently and don't need me at the moment. So I might go to the kitchen and maybe prep something for dinner. But I'm right there if they need me. So I've just learned that it's better for me not to multitask. I used to try and work on my blog and type a blog post, and it just didn't work. I couldn't do it. Sometimes I might like write out a grocery list while they're working on something independently, but it's just something that's easy and I don't have to put a whole lot of thought and effort into, and I'm not like in another room and having to stop what I'm doing and coming in there and back and forth. It just doesn't work that way. So Geraldine is actually she has a channel here on YouTube, and she's new to me. I've just discovered her in the last couple of months, and she talks all about how she plans her homeschooling and the curriculum that she uses. So I've really enjoyed her videos. I will leave her linked below as well. Let's see. And then the last question comes from Anita. And so Anita says, do you guys try to go on a family vacation, and do you do planning with your envelopes for like birthdays, Christmas, etc.? So a family vacation, sometimes we do. We have family that lives out of state from where we are, and so a lot of times our vacations are driving to go see the family members at least like once a year, as big trips. We do live a little bit north of Branson, Missouri, which is a big tourist place. And so we have gone there a handful of times, and we've rented a cabin for a few nights, and we have enjoyed that. Otherwise, we try to do like day trips, and sometimes we'll just do like a staycation maybe, where my husband might ask for a day or two off, and we'll drive an hour or two to visit some kind of small town or just something. Kearney, Nebraska is out west, and they have this huge museum. It's an arch that goes over top of the interstate, and it's a fun museum of the pioneers and just the history of Nebraska. And so one day we just drove out there and we toured the museum and did a couple other things in Kearney. They have like a downtown antique shops and, you know, fun little places to go visit. And so we did that. And that's kind of like our vacation in a way. There's another place that's near us called Nebraska City. They have a lot of little antique shops and just little cafes and stuff that we like to go to. And so it doesn't always have to be like a big vacation where we go and rent a hotel or spend, you know, thousands of dollars. Sometimes it's just, you know, close by and enjoying that family time and just getting away. And then asked if we do planning, and do you do planning with your envelopes like for birthdays and Christmases? I don't typically do that. I did have some envelopes that I saved because I was saving money for my flower garden outside. And so I did have money saved in an envelope for that. But typically my husband and I, before Christmas or birthdays, we will just talk about it and we will look over the budget and just say, okay, this is how much money we want to spend for this birthday, and this is how much we're going to spend on Christmas gifts. And he and I will kind of make a list together of what we want to get our kids. So I'm usually the one who goes out and gets it, but he helps me decide what we're going to do and how much we're going to spend, which is really important just to have that conversation. We haven't always been the best at that, but we definitely are trying to improve. That was one of our goals for 2024. It was to improve all of that. So, okay, so those are all the questions. Thank you for joining me. It looks like this is going to be a little bit of a longer video, but that's okay. I thank you for your patience with me. The last couple of weeks, I did not have a video out because my tripod broke and I was trying to film videos and I film on my phone and my phone kept falling and I cracked my case open. I was like, okay, I can't keep doing this. So I just quit filming. And then I ordered a tripod on Amazon and it came and it was broken. So I had to return that. So now I'm just going to go out and purchase a tripod from the store, and then I will be able to film more of the regular videos that I like to share here on my channel. But anyways, I just want to say thank you for your patience. Thank you for the questions. I couldn't have done this video without you. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.